This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. So yesterday, I dove into this article on how a Harry and Meghan divorce looks pretty much inevitable at this point, given the clown show we've all been watching lately. One detail that really jumped out was the estimate on Prince Harry's net worth, which was cited to be $60 million he allegedly has tucked away in inheritances and trusts from Diana and the Queen Mother. But listen, that scheming Meghan isn't budging an inch and is going nowhere. She's digging her heels in, waiting for King Charles to pass away. And I bet she's banking on Harry getting a fat inheritance she can sink her greedy little claws into. Plus, in her little twisted mind, I believe she's seeing it as, oh, it will push us closer to the throne, even though that is a complete and total delusion. Right now, there are no billionaires lining up for her, so Harry is about as good as it's gonna get. Pretty pathetic. The mere idea of Harry divorcing Meghan in itself screams total shit show. In today's video, I want to go ahead and talk about what we think or theorize could unfold in the event Harry does make the first move. You know, lately we've been seeing these clear moments where Harry's looking straight up agitated and giving Meghan the cold shoulder. From my perspective, it's screaming to me that he's finally hit his limit with her endless attention-seeking nonsense. The noticeable cracks in their relationship really started showing up in Harry's body language at Sundance, and then escalated last week during that Jordan trip. Now, I do think the NBA basketball PR stunt and the Valentine's Day parking lot pap walk was all fake. And I bet what we saw was all just for show because their PR team and WME talent agents are forcing them to do it to keep up appearances. If you notice, in one of these videos, we see Jill Smaller, who represents Meghan from WME, was with them. It's all business and nothing more. Even at the NBA game, you could catch Harry zoning out and looking totally disinterested in spots. But that recent Jordan outing, yeah, it seals the deal for me. Harry's checked out, just going through the motions because he has to. No doubt about it, there are some serious fractures in this so-called sham of a marriage. So if we are to think about how this divorce could play out, I can envision it going this way. Given that we know Meghan is not going to go anywhere because she knows this is the best she's going to get, it will be on Harry to make the first move and file for divorce, because he's about done with her nonstop drama and wants to crawl back to the UK for the safe and cushy royal life. Now, I can totally see Harry's going to admit, if he hasn't already in private, that ditching royal life back in 2020 was the absolute dumbest mistake of his life. Like, we can see he's desperate to worm his way back in, and he'll say or do whatever it takes to convince them to let him. But mark my words, he'll never own up to the world, never apologize publicly for screwing up by letting that viper Meghan into his family and handing her a massive global platform to spew her poison. As it stands, I think we all believe that there is no prenup. So, under California's no-fault rules, everything they built since getting hitched in 2018 gets chopped in half as community property. As Star Magazine reported, Harry's got about $60 million stored somewhere in the form of trusts and inheritance. As it stands, he has like $10 million from his mom's estate and $8.5 million from the Queen Mother's fund he snagged at age 40. That's got to be managed by financial whizzes in stocks and properties, so it should stay his unless Meghan figured out a way to swindle Harry into mixing it with joint cash, which, you know, something tells me that she figured that out. But stuff like their Netflix and Spotify payouts, yeah, that's going to be split right down the middle. Now, as far as the Olive Garden castle goes, in a divorce, the courts will treat it as joint and probably make them sell it for whatever it's worth now, divvying up what's left after the $9.5 million mortgage that's sitting on it. Now, when we look at Meghan's so-called business empire, if you can call it that, you know, that as ever, whatever thing, now, That too, we're watching it fail. I would estimate that it's about maybe $4 to $5 million a year that Meghan is losing. Look at all the PR that's around it and branding. But with like 137,000 unsold gift sets just sitting there molding, no real profits, I see. Just her pretty much bossing everybody around till they quit and pushing crappy, oversized, stale jam nobody wants to buy. The fact that she has to give it to Netflix and they have it stored in their closet is kind of funny. So, in the event of a divorce, Meghan's empire could be seen as community property. But since it's worthless, Harry probably won't get stuck with much of that mess. In fact, Meghan wanted this under her name and her name only, so she's going to have to deal with that mess herself. I bet when she initially set it up, she thought, oh, I'm going to be this billionaire and I don't want Harry's name attached to it because in the event we do get divorced, I don't want to give any of my money to him. Now, I think the biggest headache for this divorce and the real sad part about all of this are those invisible kids, however they came to exist. Like, it's so hard to talk about them as if they really do exist because nobody spots them out and about. Now, I would think if they are enrolled in school, then Harry and Meghan have NDAs on everyone, from the school to the teachers to the parents. It's just also bizarre. I mean, we know Meghan doesn't go to PTA meetings or do school drop-offs, so the likelihood of Meghan being seen around any kind of school is probably slim to none. More than likely, they have nannies taking these children, dropping them off, and picking them up, so nobody really knows that those children belong to Harry and Meghan.
Meghan, your breath smells like doggy farts. Go brush your teeth and wash your dirty kitty. I can smell it from here.
So now, if indeed Archie is enrolled in school, he most likely is going to Laguna Blanca, which runs over $50,000 a year per kid. So now, if Harry does decide to divorce Meghan, we'll see the courts push for joint legal custody, meaning shared decisions, but pertaining to the physical custody, well, I can see Meghan claw for primary or even sole custody of these kids in Cali, using Harry's UK plans pretty much against him. So with Harry's trust kicking out probably $2 to $3 million a year, he'll owe maybe $40,000 to $100,000 a month in child support for both kids together until they're 18. It's a hefty, hefty amount. And that's going to cover schools, nannies, therapy, the works. Now, what I can see Meghan doing is going full force and getting maximum payout, but not give all that to the kids. You can bet that she's going to pocket some of it. Like, if you do the math, it's about $1.2 million a year. If, let's say, child support is $100K a month, times that by, let's say, Archie's going to be 7 till they're 18. We're talking another 10 years. You're looking at like $12, $13 million that Harry's going to have to shell out to take care of those kids. But I don't see the financial part being the worst thing coming out of this divorce. What's going to be bad is the emotional aspect of it. And what I mean by that is, let's say if the time ever comes and Harry actually is the one to dump Meghan before she can find another host to latch onto, oh, you know, she's going to lose her mind. I can easily see Meghan go max with her psycho vindictive personality. You know that she's going to be leaking really nasty stories to the papers, calling Harry an abandoner, drug addict, abuser, and pretty much use that book Spare completely against him, which I always believe that was her insurance policy when she helped Harry write that book. I believe she did set him up, so in the event he did want to leave her, that book was going to be used against him. Knowing that Meghan is a calculated bitch, more than likely she will use those kids like weapons and emotionally manipulate Harry into whether it be more money or to give her access to things. In everything that we've observed about Meghan Markle, she's very sly in ensuring that she doesn't leave any kind of paper trail. So I don't see Meghan having any unhinged moments where she will be drunk texting Harry or sending him voicemails that are threatening. Anything that could be used against her. She's very clever in how she provokes and gets under people's skin. She knows exactly what buttons to push with Harry. I mean, look at what she did when she went to Paris. Obviously, Harry did something that Meghan didn't like, so of course she's going to do something back deliberately to hurt him. And I do believe that that was spiteful and intentional and was designed to trigger Harry. Her way of acting out is doing things that have symbolism in it, perceived as threatening to Harry. And I think that Paris drive-by was a perfect example of that kind of maliciousness that Meghan has inside herself. Meghan's nasty enough to stage paparazzi ambushes at wherever Harry may be, with cameras rolling, turning everything into her personal revenge circus. And because we know Meghan is calculating and scripted, she will paint herself as the ultimate victim. Think Amber Heard on steroids. Now, what I'm hoping for is for William to be behind the scenes. If he has any involvement, he's going to steamroll Meghan. We know that the royals are pros at handling scandals. A little birdie told me someone from California had set this up to make sure that this photo happened, and someone got paid handsomely. I don't know if it's true, but you never know. Like, I could see the institution quietly bankrolling Harry's crack team of lawyers to hit back hard. They could demand of Meghan psych tests to prove she's the unstable one, dig through her failing business docs to show she's not broke or been hiding and siphoning money, and get a court-appointed parenting watchdog to cut off her kid-manipulating bullshit. But let's not forget that there's still that report the Queen put away on Meghan's bullying. In hindsight, maybe this is the reason why the Queen decided to hold it back, to use as leverage and possibly blackmail. Because if Meghan has blackmail on the family, well, two can play that game. I don't doubt that they're in possession of information when MI6 had researched her background and had to scrub her past. So they know some stuff. The royal family can leak their own stories, painting Meghan as the real poison, tanking whatever reputation she has left. I don't doubt for 1 second that the royals have a shit ton of dirt on this woman. We often talk about how Harry and Meghan get away with so much and Charles not doing anything, suspecting that maybe Meghan has blackmail on the family. That very well could be, but I do believe that the royals could equally bury this woman if she dared to do anything, with everything that they know about her that has been scrubbed from the internet. So I think the real question is, if both parties have blackmail on each other, who has the more damaging blackmail? At this point, I doubt Meghan could effectively blackmail anyone over this Prince Andrew saga. However, she might hold leverage on matters that could severely damage the UK's financial or institutional standing. When we look at the arrests that are being made in the UK over the fallout from these files that have been released, it's not over crimes that were being committed over these girls and women. No, it appears that these girls, unfortunately, are collateral damage in the whole scheme of things. What clearly stands out to the wealthy elites, including the royal family, is safeguarding the power and financial structure at all costs. So, I think Meghan appears far more inclined to target William and Catherine's future reign, aiming to undermine or even topple the monarchy itself. Behind the scenes, we've seen her actions so far have quietly created persistent headaches for Catherine and William, likely in hopes that she will provoke them enough to conclude stepping aside. And that's what I think Meghan has been secretly plotting and scheming and trying to achieve. I believe she does envision herself eventually on the throne and is playing a very, very long game. That being said, if Harry ever decides to leave her, she'd lose any real shot at that kind of influence, which is probably her end goal. And I suspect she'd rather burn the entire institution down than watch Catherine become queen. And I think that this opinion is pretty much shared by the majority who have been watching this saga over almost 10 years now. Ultimately, the royals have no choice but to help Harry in this situation if the day ever comes. Not out of family obligation, but to literally protect the crown by any means necessary. So if it means William has to put aside his differences with his brother, he's going to step up and do it because the crown obviously will come first. And Meghan is a huge liability, huge one. The only way I think we'll get rid of this woman is with money. A Hillary Clinton-style suspicious suicide would not be an option because of Meghan making Harry already seed the narrative of not wanting to end up like Diana. Again, you see how calculating this woman is because she knows that she's going into this institution and purposely causing havoc and trouble, and knows that if she does it, she's dealing with some really powerful people that could easily wipe her off the face of the earth. Meghan knows that if anything should happen to her, the scrutiny that would fall upon the royal family would be intense. So money really is the only option that we have here to at least get Harry out from under her grip. I don't think they'll ever get rid of her, but at least Harry will be able to break free from her. So what do we think a payout could look like? Well, I think she could snag temporary spousal support, like maybe 100 or 200 grand a month for a couple of years, because, she's got to maintain a lifestyle, and you know how the courts want to keep things normal in some sense. But I don't think that there will be endless alimony. Courts definitely will tell her to get off her ass and go to work. She will get a big one-time lump sum, somewhere around like 20 to 30 million from selling the house and the joint media gigs from Archwell Productions. Now, I can see that the royals could give an extra few million in royal hush money if she swallows a monster NDA. But I don't think Meghan will sign anything unless it's substantial. I think we all know that Meghan will be weighing her options and understanding the value of what a tell-all post-divorce deal would look like. And I don't think it's an accident that it was leaked that Meghan was shopping around publishers to take her tell-all post-divorce book. I do believe that she's going to have a number in her head, knowing what her potential is, versus if she settles with the royal family, at least to buy her silence. I think it's going to cost the royal family a lot of money. Whatever number that is, there will be no more books, no more interviews or spilling tea, and mandatory therapy sessions with Harry for co-parenting, because we know they're still going to have to deal with each other. They're going to have to learn how to be civil. I think the one non-negotiable for Meghan will definitely be that she keeps her title. And I do think that the royals will agree to that because I don't think anybody's going to want this title after she's had it. But I do think that there will be a clause in writing this time around saying that she can't use the Sussex name to sell her crap. If Meghan doesn't end up in jail first, I think she can walk away with enough money to never have to think about money again. She will, of course, be gagged for life about anything royal, but, for Meghan, no matter how much she has, we know she will always want more, and will figure out a way to profit and exploit off of the royal brand. I do think she will refuse to go away quietly and will maliciously do things to provoke the royals to a point just short of violating whatever agreement they lock in place with her. As for Harry, if the day ever comes and he breaks free from her and also not in jail, the royals will have him quietly slink back into some UK property for rehabilitation. But do I see the relationship with Harry and his brother mending? I don't think so. I think it's beyond repair, and to William right now, Harry is just a liability that needs to be mitigated. Nothing more and nothing less. William has put his family first. Harry is a traitor, and there is no way you can come back from that. That trust is gone. Maybe it will be the kids that will help bridge this gap, but that's a very slim chance because I doubt Meghan is going to allow those kids to be flying back and forth to spend time and get to know a family that she is terribly envy of, especially Catherine. Can you imagine seeing Archie and little Betty on the balcony next to Catherine? You know that will send Meghan over the edge. She will never let that happen. Yeah, as far as tying up loose ends, when we look at this Archewell Fugazi public charity, I think we've already started to see their movements. I do think that they will abandon this charity at some point. As is, they have moved the ownership or name under James Holt and Shauna Knapp. So it's really those two that are ultimately responsible for its finances, for the tax reporting. I mean, if I were Shauna Knapp, I would get a lawyer and I would quit this job because James Holt bolted to the UK. So if indeed the IRS does knock on the door, they're going to be coming for Shauna Knapp. The fact that Harry and Meghan's names are no longer listed gives a good indication that they are distancing themselves from this 501c3 charity, and I guarantee they will now consider themselves the royal patrons of Archewell. Now, as we wait to see what eventually will happen, the royal family, with William and Catherine at the helm, will keep a far distance away from these two. Hopefully, King Charles doesn't let these two vipers back into the mix before he passes, because, that's not going to work. But this is what Harry has been trying for. And as you've seen how we laid this all out, I'm pretty sure Harry also has laid it out. And I think that after weighing the pros and cons, I think he sees that maybe staying with Meghan and possibly living separately, if not already, as well as staying miserable till those kids reach 18, is the lesser headache for himself. I don't doubt that Harry has a lot of skeletons in his closet that Meghan could definitely use to hurt him if she loses or thinks that she's losing control of him. Sometimes those who are involved with narcissists stay in the relationship because it's just easier. I can see Harry being completely battered at this point because of the psychological abuse he has gone through being married to this awful woman. It is possible he will never leave her, but it's also possible he might reach a boiling point where he just snaps and says, "I'm out." Whatever the case is, I don't care. I really don't feel bad for Harry one bit for how his life is going. He made his bed, and it's not like he was not warned. Until Harry acknowledges and is sorry for the harm he's caused, I don't care. I really don't care. If his mental health is suffering or affected for whatever tribulations that are coming his way, for sure, doesn't matter until he acknowledges that he's done wrong. And I know that we can't stand Meghan Markle because she's the malicious schemer who wreaked havoc on the royal family with her lies and manipulative games. But understand this, karma will always find its way to those that deserve it most, and she is the winner. Meghan can't get out of karma's visit when it knocks on the door. But what do you guys think? Do you get the vibe that Harry is getting really fed up of Meghan's bullshit? Definitely let me know your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Such a fraud.